I love you. The DC Cinematic Universe, or Extended Universe. No greater pile of shit in this world.
Oh,
and
man.
It all culminates 4 years ago in 2017 with the Justice League. Note the emphasis on Joss, the Justice League.
Yeah.
That was Joss Whedon's weird, nonsensical cut of a finished film, as we have now discovered, because Zack Snyder had 4 fucking hours of footage and he released it.
There was some stuff that he shot later, wasn't there? Because there's some shots with him in a mask.
Zach? Are you talking Zach?
Yeah.
I think he did some reshoots last year, but I don't think it was a lot. Like, it was just just to cover up a few scenes that he hadn't gotten.
Perhaps, yeah.
But here we are. I am the Green Traveler from Gorsh.
And I am the Faceless Leon. Maybe we should start our own, superhero group. We got, I bet we could get Ronvald the Scald in there.
Hell
yeah. And I don't know, I'm sure there's other people that would be interested.
I always liked League of better.
Yeah.
Whatever we decide, just like League of Superheroes.
Right. League of Couch Surfers. That's right. But,
ooh.
Yeah.
The League of the Couch Surfers. Here we come to save the day. So yeah, today we're talking the Justice League, the Snyder Cut in particular. We're starting a DC playlist technically today, I guess. But we're doing it in reverse on accident because the Snyder Cut was released, and someday we will do. I'd like to do all the live action DC movies starting way back in the Tim Burton days. I mean, even way back in the Christopher Reeve Superman days, even.
Yeah, let's do forgot the TV Batman's name. Adam West. Let's do his movie.
Oh yeah. We could do that. I'm sure there was even others before them too. Like, I bet there was. Maybe, I know Christopher Reeve wasn't the first Superman. So I think there was another one.
Oh, really?
But we're starting at the end. We're doing the Snyder Cut of the Justice League, and someday we will talk the Joss Whedon cut. I mean, we'll give history today, but we'll talk that film by itself and grade it and all that fun chat later.
I did watch that movie for this review so that I could have some good compare and contrast in my mind. We'll see how good that does.
Yeah, I did not.
That is okay. I think we kind of prepared different types and amounts of research. That was kind of my main research, was the compare and contrast kind of thing. I also read that Flash article you sent that was bizarre, and it looked like you were doing some other research and stuff, and you just know more about the world than I do, the universe. So yes. I just kind of felt like that could be your side of things, and I have more detail, at least memorized or remembered. That is the comparison. Yeah,
let's actually start with our when it comes to the comic book world. When I read comic books, I read mostly DC comics. I love their stories better. They're darker. Their characters feel more realistic. There's so much optimism and hope in the Marvel universe, which is good. It makes it very entertaining. I mean, there's also a lot of despair, of course, and chaos and beautiful mayhem. But I don't know. The DC comics just grab me more. I like their characters a lot more.
That's totally fair. My main draw to Marvel was always the X-Men. X-Men is definitely the comic book series I've read the most of, and it's mostly those classic stories that I read. I started collecting those essential books that they sold when we were younger.
You got the big guys run too, the main guy who shaped the X-Men.
Right. I don't remember names, unfortunately, but I think you're talking about with the whole Jean Grey storyline with the Dark Phoenix. I do have that. It's in black and white, but it's in this big, huge, thick tome. Yeah, I like it that way. I mean, I would like to see it in color too, but I know what the colors are supposed to look like. I have an imagination.
Yeah. At least you didn't color it in yourself.
Oh, geez. Oh, my God. Yeah. Make it worthless. Though it is about worthless because I've read it so many times that the bindings all wore out.
I've only really read Spider-Man, and I feel like the X-Men are the other Marvel comic that I would love, but they're so expensive, and it's hard to find the ones I want to read.
It is hard to find them.
But when it comes to the movie universe, it's the complete opposite. Marvel has me absolutely riveted. I love the universe they've built. They did it the perfect way. There's so much intrigue throughout every single film because it's setting up something new in the universe, or maybe it's just taking a nice kickback and just following Ant-Man for a while.
Right.
Which in itself does, I guess, bring in the quantum universe. So scratch that. It does set something new up in the universe. But with DC Comics, their film series, since Man of Steel, I just don't get it. It's mayhem. It is just so broken, and they're trying to do better. They're really trying to do better. And with their last few movies, like from Wonder Woman on, with the exclusion of Wonder Woman 1984, they've been doing great. Although I do also, I guess, find Aquaman to be a bit schlocky, but...
Yeah, Aquaman wasn't the greatest, but Shazam, that Shazam movie was pretty solid. Like, it was definitely written to be family friendly, that one, and that makes sense. I mean, it's a kid's superhero.
I did forget Birds of Prey. I don't really like Birds of Prey.
I enjoyed Birds of Prey. I think Margot Robbie's performance is a big part of that. She's pretty good in the role.
The problem is I don't remember... I guess I say I don't like it, but that's not true. It's just I don't remember it at all.
Sure.
Because I don't remember hating it walking away. I think I remembered that I enjoyed myself but thought it was kind of meh.
Right.
But I really just... all of it is sapped away. I just remember Margot Robbie and Ewan McGregor was there for a little bit, I think.
Oh, that's right. He was in that.
Yeah.
Like, so I do remember generally what happens, but it's really told from Harley Quinn's perspective, and that's kind of weird that they just by the title of it, because it is the Birds of Prey, the emancipation of one Harley Quinn. I think that is what the title is. So it is kind of weird that it's all from her perspective, and also like I thought that the other actors did a good job.
Dude, oh yeah, I love their Black Canary.
Yeah, I thought she was cool. Their script-wise, I felt like they just were so unfocused on that it was forgettable in the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely has its pros and cons, but Margot Robbie is hilarious and just a good pick, I think, for the character.
Yeah, she is a fairly solid Harley Quinn. She's made that role her own really well.
For sure.
And in a way that's loyal to the comics, so it's like she's done amazing work with it. And I am excited for the Suicide Squad 2. They just dropped the trailer. There was an actor in it I didn't realize was in the movie that was in the trailer, which I don't really mind spoilers.
Sure.
If I see one spoiler or a few small tiny details, I'll overlook it. I'm okay with that. But what I don't like are big story plots that are spoiled. And there was one it's just a glimpse. You just see something tiny for a little while, and I'm like, yep, there's the third act. Like, they just showed it, and I'm like, damn it, now I know what the freaking story is basically from those two elements alone. But that said, I'm still excited for the Suicide Squad.
Good.
But let's get into it. Back in 2017, the Justice League happened.
The Justice League, it happened.
What were your thoughts walking out of the theaters of Justice League? I think we saw it together, right?
Yeah, we did. I think, the whole Adventures in Valagorn crew went together, actually. If you guys didn't know, we are involved in Fiction Works 19's other show, The Adventures in Valagorn, under our pseudonyms, Blake Christ as myself and Greg Callahan.
Those aren't our real names.
Those aren't your names anyway. I hope he listens. That is a total inside joke. Okay. Anyways. Yeah, I remember not enjoying it coming out of the theaters. It was a superhero movie, but like Marvel had done it better, and their second one, I would say, was not as good. But that first Avenger movie where they built it up and put it out, and that's what DC Warner Brothers was trying to emulate. it just did not follow through to the same extent as Marvel did. Another thing that I took away from the theater experience was that they really didn't focus on any of the characters very well, except for Batman. And they had some focus with Wonder Woman, but it was kind of weird. Got some pretty great picks for the roles. Ezra Miller as Flash, Barry Allen, that is, and Jason Momoa as Arthur Curry as Aquaman, Ray Fisher, Victor Stone, Cyborg. They all had a great lot of potential, but none of them were really focused on. Now, no. I can't recall. Was there any role of Jason Momoa in the other movies before this?
I believe he was briefly mentioned, and there was like a scene of him underwater in Batman v Superman.
I think it's just because he was so well known that this time around when I watched it, it just like it felt like Bruce already knew when they are meeting in that small town by the river that's blocked by ice. It just seemed like Batman should have already known which one of them was Arthur Curry, but I guess it was his first reveal. Maybe that was just because of the trailers that I felt like he was already an established character.
Did he not?
This is 4 years ago. No, he walked into the room and he's talking to Arthur at the time is pretending like he is the translator character for the leader of this town. And so he's talking through him, but at some point he does realize that it is him that he's trying to talk to. He's trying to get in touch with Aquaman, who is just a rumored legend at this point. And in the Justice League, I'm kind of getting into my comparing. Let me step back a little bit. I'll get back into that later. I want to know, because you asked me what my opinion of the movie was. I want to know what your opinion was.
I was going to say, I think that scene with Batman and Aquaman, I do believe that's one of the heavily reshot scenes, because there's a lot of Joss's weird, very subpar humor that's kind of just juvenile humor that's just tossed in there. And I don't know, that was my overall thought walking away from the theaters, was there was so much weird humor that like they were trying so hard to make the universe lighter, to make it more happy. You know, it's like we got have all these like jokes in there and everything, make it more lighthearted.
I though, and to just real quick jump in on that was when I did first start watching the Justice League again. I don't know who coined that. Was that
it was the internet somewhere.
It was the internet somewhere. Okay, well, thank you very much. It's brilliant. Anyway, in Justice League, I did, when I first started watching, I was like, you know what? I wish some of this humor made it in there. There are some pretty good bits, especially I feel like on Barry's part, which, you know, Barry is a funny character, I feel like.
Just not that brunch. There's one scene with Barry and Batman in the Justice League version where he goes on about brunch for like 2 minutes.
Right.
Where he just keeps talking about it, and it's just like, this isn't funny. It's just stupid.
It's not that
like
funny. But there's this one bit where he's at the prison to visit his father, and this big lug of a man behind him is like, "Hey, watch where you're going," or something stupid and toxic like that. And anyhow, Barry like has a permanent marker in his hand for the form that he's signing, and he just quick speeds, like draws like a mustache and like big huge glasses and like all these little doodles on this big bald guy's head, and it's hilarious. And like, you know, it's not there 1 second, there the next, and he's trying not to laugh, and he's like, "Are you starting to laugh at me?" And he's like, no, not at all. And then he turns around, writes his thing down, and then the guy comes up next in line, and the guy doing the form says, "Are those prescription?" And maybe that's just funny to me because I've worn glasses my whole life, but
no, yeah, I mean, I guess that is a good joke there. I guess there might be some good good gems.
There's some good ones.
I mean, Joss is a funny guy. Like, I've liked a lot of his work in the past, but it's just since Avengers 2, I don't know. There's just so much that I don't know. It feels like he's lost his...
Maybe. I don't know. And obviously there's some other controversy going on with this particular film.
But yeah, let's talk that, because back when Zack Snyder filmed the Justice League, he got, all 4 hours of this recorded. He had so much footage to use from. He had the whole story here.
Right.
And of course, there were some reshoots that were needed, but during post-production, he had a family tragedy.
Yeah, very sad.
And to grieve over that, he had to leave the shoot, and he just couldn't complete the project. And so the studio brought in Joss Whedon, and the studio had seen Zack's cut of it, and they didn't like it.
I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure you said Josh Sweden.
Hey, that's
like
fine.
our joke
Josh
from
Sweden.
last time. Oh shit.
But the studio had seen Zack's cut of it, and they just didn't like it. And so they wanted more. They wanted it cut down to like 2 hours or under 2 hours. They wanted more humor.
I get that. I mean, it's a long fucking movie.
Yeah, they really should have. And back then they didn't have that viewpoint on streaming like we do now because of COVID. But back then they really should have just been like, this could work as a small miniseries if we put out two parts a day or whatever. We can make a 4-episode miniseries, and that's basically what Zack ended up doing.
Yeah, I like those part points.
Yeah, it helped because I don't think anybody just sat through the whole fucking thing. I think everybody was just like, I'm taking a break now. I'll come back to it tomorrow.
I'm pretty sure there are 1 or 2 people at least that set up until midnight when it landed in there, and they're like, start. And just sat through the 4 hours, with Red Bull and shit.
Yeah, probably. But when Joss Whedon came in, he barely used any of Zack Snyder's footage. I think maybe 30% of his footage. He changed composers even. So it's like the original composer was Tom Hulkenberg. He had completed a score. He had a fully completed soundtrack for the film.
And
then
really
they just bring in Danny Elfman because nobody lightens up the room like Danny Elfman.
That's true. Like I can't say that even on this rewatch that I really recall if I liked the Danny Elfman stuff or not. I mean, I typically am pretty good with it, but you said, it lightens up the room.
I remembered it stayed more loyal to character themes. Because the one thing in Zack's version that I really hated was whenever they did the big epic moments with Wonderwoman, they used like a very an Amazonian chant kind of soundtrack, and it was cool, but it didn't really fit the action at all.
Right.
Whereas her character theme back in Batman v Superman, the epic like
I love that. I listen to it all the time, and I still can't get the tune right.
Yeah, that fits Zack Snyder's action so well. And yet this version's like, the Hulkenberg soundtrack. I don't know if Zack Snyder used Tom Hulkenberg's score for the Snyder cut.
I'm pretty sure it was different than the Joss.
Well, yeah. I think I remember the Wonder Woman scenes having her theme in the background.
Right.
But the big change to the Joss version was Ray Fisher as Cyborg, as we found out. Because I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago, Ray Fisher came forth with some accusations against Joss Whedon and DC. So Ray Fisher said that Joss Whedon's on-set treatment, this is a quote, Whedon's on-set treatment of cast and crew was gross, abusive, unprofessional, and completely unacceptable. He even mentioned that many characters had reduced roles. Yeah. But he never mentioned in what way. And then Zack Snyder finally released his cut, and you find out that Cyborg is like central to the plot.
Yes. And that was the one of the big notes I had about the Justice League. When we came back out of the theater, when we saw it, was like, okay, you're dealing with the new gods here. I was always under the impression that Cyborg's character, like I said, I don't read DC very much, but I was always under the impression that his character was largely tied into their technology. And, that is a part of the story, but he's not a leading element in the Justice League story. at all.
No, he's just there, and he can just do some cool things with gadgets that helps.
Yeah, and oh my god, he's so much more fleshed out in the Snyder cut. It's awesome.
I don't even think in the Whedonverse, and I don't know if you'll be able to correct me, but I'm not sure. There's a scene in the trailer and in the Snyder cut where Cyborg goes into one of Batman's vehicles and takes over control, and he's just like, "Don't worry, Alfred, I've got this." And Alfred's just like, "Who are you?" Because Alfred's never met Cyborg at that point. It's hilarious. But I don't think that's in. I don't think it's in the Joss version, is it?
It did happen. Yeah.
Okay.
But it was different. It was different because what was different about it, which is really weird to me. Okay, this is something that is really weird to me, is for that crawler that was crawling around in the Snyder cut, I think that's the first instance you really know that Alfred is controlling it. There's like 2 little snippet scenes in Justice League. I have to say it twice each time to make sure I'm saying it right. There's 2 little snippet scenes that show you that he's the one doing it. Like Bruce says, "All right, Alfred, go into RC mode," or something like that. And he's like, "Taking control now, Master Wayne," or whatever. Yeah, so it's weird that Jeremy Irons was in this movie more than Ray Fisher, whose story is so integral to what they were trying to set up. It's crazy.
And Joss replaces a lot of Victor's storyline with this, with a third act subplot of this Russian family that's just in the same area as the parademons and Steppenwolf.
That was so unnecessary.
Right? He cut all of this beautifully already built, filmed package story of Cyborg and replaced it with a Russian family. Like, why?
Yeah. It needed more white people, apparently. I don't know.
Apparently. Well, he also got rid of Victor's parents. Like, neither of them... I mean, Victor's dad is in it.
Yeah, Cyrus Stone, Dr. Cyrus Stone is in it. But I don't know if he's an actual comic book character, but in the movie, he is the reason why Cyborg ends up the way he is. That's what I'll say about it, I guess. Half of the reason. He's half of the reason. And they totally drop the mother character and the tragic scenes between Victor and his mom before the incident. And yeah, that is some bullshit. I mean, that was some good stuff. And there's also a lot of scenes between his father and himself that they cut too. And some other stuff that we'll talk about behind the wall. I'm sure we'll get to a wall today because
I'm sure
there's a lot of stuff
soon. And with all of this, with all of Whedon's cutting and his of scenes and characters, and his attitude on set, one thing that really makes me sad though is he has also mentioned that the producers John Berg and Jeff Johns also protected Whedon from backlash, and they protected his behavior and all that kind of stuff. And it makes me sad because I do like Jeff Johns.
Yeah.
I've liked his writing at least, but if he, protected that kind of behavior in any way, it's just like, that's not acceptable, man.
That's not okay. Like, you can make, okay, everybody is in the room together to make art together. Okay?
Yeah.
I know that they put, that power in the director's hand to get the job done. But that does not mean that they have to be assholes about it. In no way, shape, or form. There's plenty of directors out there that get the job done and everybody's happy and had fun at the end of the day. Like, what's the point of it otherwise? I know, some people are like, art is pain. And yes, sure. But you don't have to hurt your collaborators to make your art.
Exactly. It's a stressful job. I've worked on sets before, and I've seen, it builds on you. You get really tired and you get really stressed, and you're all together in a hot set all day, and you're just like, this fucking sucks. And you're all, you're sweating everywhere, and you're like, damn it, I just can't wait for the wrap.
Right.
But at the same time, you're all respecting each other, and we're still working together.
Exactly.
You don't start yelling at people.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, your job, which you get paid very well for, is to make permit. Yeah, that's true. The positions that we've worked have not been that well paid. Hell, I've performed, I think every time I've been
free.
It's been for free. But that's fine.
Sorry, for name recognition later when it's produced.
yes, that's right.
That's how they get you.
Student work. Anyhow, yeah, you're there to play pretend and with each other, and you're grown ass adults. That's amazing. Like, right? You know, like, obviously, yes, things get stressful and you got time limits and all that shit. But dear God, movies are supposed to be fun. Even when they're sad and heartbreaking, like, you should be having a good time doing it. Because otherwise, I don't know that it would be worth it.
No, because then it's just another job.
Yeah, then it's just another job. Exactly. Like, and you know, you could go to another job, be treated better, but not enjoy it as much as what you're doing. Yeah. So why not just go to the set, enjoy yourself with these talented people around you, and get the job done? Like, you don't have to treat people poorly or cut their rules completely.
There's only one man who's allowed to be irate on set, and that's Christian Bale, because the content that comes from it is absolute gold. I still listen to that. If I'm feeling down in the dumps, you know, I'm just like, man, I'm really depressed today. I'll turn on Christian Bale yelling at that cinematographer on Terminator Salvation.
Oh my God.
And just listen to all of it because it just makes me smile. It's like, well, you know what? My day might not be great, but I'm not getting dressed down by Christian Bale.
Oh man.
I highly recommend to everybody go out there and look it up, the Christian Bale rant. It's gold. It's absolute gold.
We're gonna get comments from Christian Bale now.
Dude, you're welcome on the show.
You are welcome on the show. You could even dress us down on the show.
Go Gordon Ramsay on our ass.
So, yeah, we'll talk much more about Cyborg because, like, he was really cool in the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
There was some great stuff in there.
I think the only thing else before we get really to the wall is the other big, very famous difference between the Justice League and the Snyder Cut is Henry Cavill's upper lip. because everybody knows about Mustache Gate. It was huge. Joss Whedon or Josh Sweden, whichever one we want to call him.
Whichever you want.
He is for whatever reason, he's given a finished product, told to cut it down and make it lighthearted. And I guess he couldn't make any of it lighthearted because he had to reshoot everything. And when he was doing those reshoots, Henry Cavill was on contract with Mission Impossible Fallout. And in that role, because they had already filmed a lot of footage as well, but in that role, his character is supposed to have a mustache. And the producers there said, hey, it's fine if you want him to shave his mustache. Just pay us $3 million or $30 million, I think, so that we can afford to push back production so he can regrow the damn thing.
Right.
And rather than pay $30 million, which is, you know, I get
That's a lot of money, yeah.
But they decided to dump millions more into a very hurried and very rushed edit where the editors simply removed his mustache on the computer. We'll fix it in post.
I was trying to warble my upper lip that doesn't exist. My upper lip that doesn't exist for the Green Traveler to see, but my facial hair, which also doesn't exist, was in the way. So
yeah, plus your footage is really granular and you're kind of choppy a bit, but your audio's coming through just fine.
That's good.
But yeah, it's an absolute beautiful example that I'm sure teachers are going to be using for years of fix it in post does not exist on your set.
Yeah.
You know, that where it's just like, what are we going to do? How are we going to remove his mustache? Oh, we'll just fix it in post. Well, here is the example of why that doesn't belong. Because so many people watched this on the big screen and walked away going, what the fuck was wrong with his face? Because his upper lip is like glossy and like very smoothed out in many scenes, and it just kind of looks so weird.
It morphs into his face well enough that you like somebody who's not super versed in CGI might be fooled, but it does look weird. It's the uncanny valley. For those who do not know that, it's like it's your suspension of believability when you're looking at something that is like technology or robotic, and how close that is in relation to being human-like. So like there's a point where like if you see like your androids at Disney World, like they're moving around all just very, very slowly and stuff, that doesn't feel too weird on your brain because you kind of have an idea of how that works. But if you go to some of these modern robotic conventions, you'll see people's work that makes your mind go like, whoa, what the hell? It seems so real. But it doesn't, though, at the same time. It's dissonance in your brain. And there's been a lot of studies on this. And eventually, technology is going to get to the point where they think that it will bell curve the other way to where it'll be so human that we just accept it.
Start treating your mechanical objects nice now.
Yes, that's right. Exactly. Sweet dreams, Alexa. Sweet dreams every night.
So that when our robot overlords come, some of us will be treated okay.
They'll see use for us. Somebody has to consume the food. Why else have the food? So, yeah, the mustache. It's definitely stuck in that part of the uncanny valley because it seems real enough that your brain almost wants to accept it, but it's just dissonant. Yeah, you're left looking at him like something's wrong, and I'm not sure what it is. Exactly. It's like when to bring up Terminator again, and to reiterate, go watch the Christian Bale rant on Terminator Salvation. It's phenomenal. But to bring the Terminator up, when they de-age Arnold Schwarzenegger, I can't remember which movie. It might be Salvation, honestly. But like you see that young Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it's like something's wrong here. I'm not sure what it is. Or Star Wars even when they did that to though that was pretty good. It was Leia, and they did it also with not Admiral. Is it Admiral? Whatever. The
Tarkin, something like that.
Harkin, I think that might be right. We're bad fanboys.
Yeah, I like Star Wars, but I'm not like super uber excited about Star Wars. I do have a trilogy planned, so
Kennedy, just get in touch.
Yeah, if Kathleen Kennedy, if you hear this, I do have a really phenomenal trilogy plan. Just reach out to me. I'll set up a pitch and everything. We can have a good time about it. But I don't know. I think I can't remember which one it is. It might be the Tarkin one, but I think Leia's was okay. But I feel like Tarkin's was really bad. He was in it throughout the film a little bit more, so there was definitely instances where it was not as believable. Yeah, because I was left being like, I don't know about this. Something doesn't feel right, and that's how it is with all of Henry Cavill's reshots. Like whenever he's there, I'm just like, what's wrong with your face? There's something wrong with your face. And it wasn't even just that, though, for me. His Superman, and Clark, I guess they're really not different. His interpretations of those, they're the same character. So anyway, he that it doesn't feel believable. His acting in those scenes either. Like Henry Cavill is a very talented actor, as we all know. He's given us such great things. The Witcher, yes, very much appreciate The Witcher. But anyhow, he does not, I don't know, he doesn't seem like he's quite there. Maybe he's worried about his other role that he's supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. He also puts on like a Plains accent a little bit more, but it's not very good. It sounds like somebody putting on an accent. It sounds like they're putting on the accent well, but it still sounds like somebody's putting on an accent. And I feel like in the Snyder cuts, the accent was not that thick. I think that would probably be, just a director thing. Like, us green people from Gorsh, we're really good at speaking out of our ass. So if I can do that right now, I will. Sure. What it feels like to me is that nobody, especially with Ray Fisher's allegations, it doesn't seem like people liked working with Joss on this film. And I think I've heard that about Avengers 2 even. Like, I think I heard that there was he was struggling to get everything done in time, and people didn't like how he was handling the pressure and thought he was mean. And I feel like he was just constantly berating Henry Cavill. It's like, no, you have to have more of this kind of an accent. You gotta, it's got to be deeper, maybe. And maybe like Henry was just like, I don't know why we're doing this, because he liked Snyder's vision. He liked that cut of things. Yeah, so he didn't like the juvenile humor that it was having to be driven into each one of these scenes. So that's how it felt to me, was like he was just, he just wasn't in it. He didn't like the project, but he was getting, he didn't want to leave the project because he really enjoyed and respected the character.
Yeah, what were they going to do? Recast him if they were going to change everything? I don't think so. I think if like maybe if Cavill was like, I'm not going to do reshoots for this, I feel like Warner Brothers respects the draw that he has for it enough that they would have been like, okay, make sure you only use Zach's cuts for this then, and maybe we would have gotten something better. But that's not Henry Cavill's job to do that. But I have to say, for the audience's, for their knowledge, that was very eloquent for talking out of your ass. And I mean, he sat on his head, everyone, and let those green cheeks fly. And I was surprised.
Don't describe my cheeks.
I'm sorry. So, are we ready for a wall? Or you got anything else?
I think we are, my friend. No, I guess I think I didn't ever tell you what my thought was coming out of the theater. I think I talked all around that.
That's okay. Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, but it's my thought. I did think it was like Aquaman for me, but I think I liked Aquaman better. I just don't remember, because I don't really remember either movies, honestly.
Right.
But I thought it was like decent schlock. I was just like, it had some funny action scenes. It was kind of entertaining. The CGI was garbage in my opinion, and I didn't really like a lot of the humor. But I did like that it was trying to be more lighthearted. I just thought it was too hammy, and I was just like, this is whatever. And that final action scene, everything was red and it looked stupid, and like the sky was disgusting. And it's just like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah, which is kind of weird, because that was one big difference. So you remember it actually happens like in the middle of the movie for the Snyder Cut, but at the end of Justice League, they erect this big, huge fortress from the mother box, and it's blue in the Justice League movie. But yeah, the scenes are red. It's weird. Like they make the big light thing that's producing energy and whatnot blue, but it's red it is red in the Snyder's cut. So that's weird. I don't know.
I could have sworn it was red in the Justice League. Was it not?
No, it was really blue. Yeah, it was blue. I swear.
Oh my god, am I having like is that the Mencha effect or something like that? It's like weird. The Mandela effect.
Because it was the same like graphic, it was just a different color. So I don't know. He also made a certain character's suit blue too. So
yeah.
That's
so weird. I seriously could have sworn that scene was all red, because I just remembered thinking it was gross.
Yeah, I mean it was, but the light thing was blue, so it was kind of weird.
Man, that's crazy. Here comes a spoiler wall. Skip to an hour 40 and you'll miss them all. I think it speaks wonders that thousands of fans and Zack Snyder's own friends, Christopher Nolan, who is a producer, and his wife Deborah Snyder, who is also a producer, I think it speaks wonders that they were like, do not watch this cut, the theater cut, because it will break your heart.
Oh man.
And
his heart was already broken.
This is such a finale for Zack. It's been such a long journey, and he's finally gotten to the end of it, and he's finally gotten to release his cut of it, because it's, I don't know, it just has to feel like a very weird emotional thing for him because of what happened when he was, editing everything. He's finally been able to he's gotten to a point where he can return to that and say, this is my vision, and in honor of, his family member. So here we are. We finally got the Snyder Cut.
We did.
And 4 hours long, and I would say about 3 hours of it are vastly entertaining.
Good. Really good. I would even be just a touch happier if it was an hour and a half. Like, I feel like there's definitely, if I went through it, and, you know, I do edit stuff, but I'm not a professional, and I'm sorry for this critique, Zach. Just, this is my one big critique about it, is that it didn't need to be 4 hours. There was definitely a good half an hour, 45 minutes that it easily could have gone, and it would have been just as strong.
Actually, going off of that, before we start with the beginning of the story, let's just start with the very ending, because again, there are 8 parts. It's divided up into 8 sections. I do not remember all the titles of all the sections, but I do remember the title of the last section, because I think all of it could be cut. And that's where most of the reshoots for Zack Snyder's Snyder Cut happened. We're in that finale section, that epilogue, because Zack's main vision were 3 Justice League films. And who knows if we'll get that. I doubt it. I don't really want it, to be honest, because if the epilogue, which is the final part of this film, if the epilogue is the foreshadowing for his cut, I'm not interested in seeing that film.
Really?
Because here's the final 30 minutes. They don't have to have any setup with the previous story. There's a character that comes in to talk to Bruce Wayne. That is the Martian Manhunter. We're behind a wall, so I'm going to say that. He makes an appearance in this, and it's fucking awesome. A little bit. It's awesome. It's awesome from my nerd standpoint. It's not awesome how it's presented in the movie.
Yeah, there's only 2 scenes.
And that first one kind of ruins the moment. Because it's this beautiful moment between Martha, Superman's mom, and Lois Lane, played by Amy Adams. And it's this beautiful scene that is handled very poorly in the Justice version. Because in the Justice version, it's used for comedy, and then there's like a male character that breaks in and just like throws some like really disgusting male in the workplace stereotype dialogue out.
Right.
You know, that's kind of standard for Joss Whedon. He likes to do that, like, look, I'm a feminist. Like, here's some dialogue about this shitty man to a really strong female character. And, like, it appears in, like, all of his work, honestly. And I mean, it happens in the workplace, and it's something that should be brought up, but it just feels so out of place how he uses it.
I feel like to us, it borders on the line that's like, hey, I'm pointing out that people say that shit like this and it's gross, towards it's the wobbly going towards, that's just inappropriate. You don't need, you didn't need that.
And it just feels out of place, and especially for the scene in Joss's version where Lois Lane and Martha Kent are talking, because it's just like Lois Lane is going through grief. You know, she just lost Superman in the movie
which
before
is
this.
So much better portrayed in the Zack Snyder cut. So
exactly.
Good.
And the problem is, it's so beautiful, that scene with Martha Kent and Lois Lane in the Snyder cut, and then Martha Kent leaves the room or the apartment and transforms into the Martian Manhunter. And you find out that it was a Martian Manhunter all along, and you're like, so Lois didn't have this. Lois still thinks that she had that beautiful moment.
That's right, but that just means
removes the gravity.
Right. That just means, okay. So there's an interesting question that brought up to me was Martian Manhunter. Why does he know Martha Kent? Because he has to know her to be able to emulate her.
Well, in the epilogue, the part, you know, where Martian Manhunter approaches Bruce Wayne, I believe he says, "I've been watching you all for a very long time." So he knew Clark Kent was Superman. I mean, he's also telepathic. He hears everybody's thoughts and everything. So, like, I think he also thinks it's rude to enter people's thoughts without them wanting to.
I do think so.
But if he's doing intel on a race, he's gonna look at the big guy first, and that's Superman.
He's been on Earth for quite some time, like over a century, right?
Yeah.
I know I think the character is supposed to be like 400 years old. I don't know, but I'm not that well versed in it. I just remember from watching the Justice League animated series, which Martian Manhunter's part is awesome in that, I think.
Yeah. I love Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, he does some good stuff, and I never thought that they would do him in film, and I'm very happy that they did. And I loved what they did with him in Supergirl, at least, the beginning part of it, because I haven't really watched Supergirl for quite some time, but I watched the first couple seasons.
Yeah, I watched the first 3 and I really like their Martian Manhunter. He's really cool.
He's cool.
And my problem is with that epilogue, though, is it's not needed to be... I mean, it's nice to set Martian Manhunter up. I get it. I like that. But, I don't know, it's just... It just seemed like a very doom and gloom, just like, okay, there's more coming in the end that you're not going to know. He tells Bruce Wayne, he's like, Darkseid's coming, next time when we all fight, I'll be there with you. And Bruce Wayne's like, what's your name? He's like, oh, some people call me the Martian Manhunter. I'm like, no, motherfucker, you're John Johns.
Yeah, you're John Johns. And he isn't credited as John Johns either.
No, it's just...
Wait, is it John Jones or is it John Johns?
I mean, I don't know. I've always just read it as John Johns. It's like
silly.
It's like J''ONN, J''ONNZ, something like that. Like,
okay, probably is John Johns then. I don't know, but anyways,
there might be an H in there.
He's also portraying a character named General Swanwick. Both are played by Harry Lennox. Just throw that out there to give him the credit due. But yeah, I think he is going to be an interesting Martian Manhunter.
Yeah.
And I do think, like, for an introduction of this character who is supposed to be super covert and, can be anybody and can just slip into a crowd, that it is an intriguing introduction to him. But yeah, the Martha scene was weird. I actually liked... I both liked and disliked the Martha scene in Justice League, but this is why. So in Justice League, she comes in to the paper where Lois has just come back to work a couple months ago and is only doing fluff pieces and stuff. Hated that. In the Snyder cut, she is still grieving. She's not able to go back to work. It still is pretty recent. So I like that she's still grieving. Mm-hmm. But they do, talk, and it's a pretty similar conversation. A lot of the dialogue's the same. Except at one point, I hated this. Martha's like, yeah, Clark always did say you were the thirstiest young woman he's ever met.
Oh my gosh.
And then she was like, that's not right. Hungriest. And I'm like, that is so dumb.
that's trash humor.
Yeah. It was, and like Amy Adams gave like an expression like, I'm not sure he said that. And like, it's stupid humor. It really is. And I think I did laugh at that situation, but I think I laughed more because I was like, why is this in the movie? Like, Martha didn't need to say that. It's supposed to be a very genuine moment. And it is much more genuine in the Snyder cut. But I like the fact that it actually is Martha in the Justice League.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I do too, because when you find out that it's the Martian Manhunter, it just changes the situation.
Right.
It takes the levity out of it. And I don't know, it's just like I feel like the Martian Manhunter was shoehorned into this film
a little bit,
and I just don't know if it's needed. It's just that's one of those things that it's like you can kind of cut him out. And another difference between those two scenes with just to go back to that scene with Martha and Lois Lane is in the Joss version, it's very bright. There's a lot of fluorescent lighting,
right?
And then in the Snyder cut, you get the patented Snyder where it's just grayscale, no color, everything's dark, and I'm brooding always.
The most color came from Amy Adams' hair.
But again, one of another big, since I'm starting off with the cons, really another big issue with both versions is nobody knows how to use Lois Lane. She is the greatest journalist, greatest reporter in most of DC Comics. I'm sure people can argue, Iris West Allen's great too. And it's like, all right, fine. But Lois is the best. And nobody knows how to use her, and it's really sad. But to get back to the epilogue, the next part is Lex Luthor and Deathstroke.
Yeah, that was weird.
I don't know if there's really many differences. I can't remember the differences between it. I'm sure there were.
Oh, but, so I couldn't actually recall Deathstroke being in the movie at all.
Well, he's a post-credit scene.
Yes.
In Justice version.
Okay. We probably did wait and see that, and then we were like, okay, I could be happy with him. I mean, I like their choice.
Joe Manganiello.
Thank you. I enjoy him as a person. I think he's fun.
He's great.
I really liked him in that Pee-wee movie that he did.
He also has a D&D. I don't know if he broadcasts it, but he hosts a celebrity D&D campaign. It's
right. Yeah,
he's a
I
huge
love
nerd.
It. I'd love to play with him too.
I also like the CW's Arrow. I thought he was fun too.
Yeah. For just a second when he came on, I thought it was him. And they do have a very similar look.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that you can't change Slade Wilson's look. You can change everybody else, but Slade Wilson has to look like that.
Yeah, he has to look like Snake from Metal Gear Solid. Yeah,
it's so perfect. I mean, that scene sets up. Well, it was supposed to set up the Ben Affleck directed and written Batman movie, but that's now in the trash, and we're doing Robert Pattinson instead. So you can cut that. That's another,
he could have left that out.
Yeah, the whole epilogue can be cut, especially the nightmare sequence. And that's nightmare as in Knight. Nightmare. It's when they flash forward to the future. It's, Batman's having a vision of the future or whatever. And you have the Flash, which I know it's Ezra Miller in that future Flash costume. It just does not look like Ezra Miller, which is cool. Because it's like, there's a huge disparity there. Yeah, and it's like, ooh, what happened? What made him become this like darker version of Flash? He's got a helmet that comes down over his face. It's really neato.
When that showed up in the Batman v Soup movie, that was so weird. And it also just did not feel like it fit the movie at all. Like, they didn't do anything with it in that movie, and it was to set up this epilogue, really.
Well, it was to set up
the next movie.
Yeah, the third Justice League movie, I would assume. Because I would say the second one is probably the Darkseid War.
I do want to see the Darkseid movie, though. I mean, especially after the... I don't know, dude. I kind of disagree. I mean, like, yes, if they're not going to make that movie, if Ben Affleck's truly done...
Well, Henry Cavill might be truly done, too.
Yeah, if those two are done... you can't really make that third movie very well, I don't think. It wouldn't be the same feel. But I feel like if that ending was in the theatrical cut, then we probably would see that third movie, and people would have been excited for that. Because at least I thought it was an intriguing setup. I didn't like their new costumes all that well, and there's obviously some characters who are going to be dead in that storyline, and you got Soups being bad, like it's the Injustice storyline a bit, and I liked that game series. So
I like the game series, but I like it being non-canonical because I like Superman. So here's the thing: everybody's always, I always mention, if somebody asks me who are my top 3 DC Comics superheroes, number 1 is Nightwing, Dick Grayson. He's my favorite. Right. I relate to his character so much. Number 2 is Wally West Flash. He's my second favorite. Again, relate to him a lot. And number 3 is Superman. And people are like, oh, why do you like Superman? He's so, it's like, he's all powerful. There's no weaknesses. Well, first off, there's a lot of weaknesses. Secondly, what makes his story super intriguing to me is that he has the ability to level the entire planet. He is that powerful.
It's restraint. His story is restraint.
Exactly. And it's just like whenever he's punching somebody, if he'll take on humans all the time, and he has the ability to punch them to dust, basically. He can break every bone in your body with a punch, and he holds back. It's all about his hope. He's such a good guy. And it's just like, I get the Boy Scout is kind of annoying every now and then, but I like him not snapping and going villainous. I like that being being canonical. And the Snyder cut and the Justice version both have that moment where he's brought back from death and he goes berserk a little bit, and that's fine. That is his character. He is at heart a Kryptonian, right? And when he is brought back mindless, they are fighters in a way. I mean, they're also very civilized people with their own politics and science.
They are. I do feel like they're considered a warrior race, though.
Yeah, they're very similar to humans. It's just like one of our first instincts is fight, and it's just and so it's like I get that he wakes up, he's surrounded by all these people he doesn't know who are costumed with powers, and they're all
his medulla oblongata, that his little tiny brain was the only thing that was working.
Yeah,
and that's all he had. That was all he's going on until Lois steps in.
Yeah, until Lois came in, and it's so beautiful. That's the only thing she can be used for.
Yeah. That's true.
To get back to that scene, though, you find out that the Lois is the key that's mentioned in Batman v Supes. In the epilogue, you find out that she basically dies, and Superman snaps.
Right.
And in the nightmare sequence that we're presented, you see this group of survivors who are trying to stop Superman still.
Mm-hmm.
There's Mira, Amber Beard's Mira, which I like her Mira. I think it's all right.
Yeah, sure. I can't really honestly remember the Aquaman movie very well. I'm sure we'll do that.
I'm also all for Mira becoming more of a character because her character is super badass and I love her in the comics. Yeah. But I just feel like, again, they haven't really set up their female characters very well. They're just kind of there.
No, not at all. Wonder Woman, definitely with her own movie, that was super strong, that first movie. Like she's had a lot of development. But there is no development in Justice League.
But it's just, like, I think there was also Cyborg and Deathstroke who were part of that group. Cyborg might not have been. I just can't remember.
Yes, he was.
But I know Deathstroke was. And there might have been others, but the one that really rubbed me wrong is Jared Leto's Joker is there.
Yeah.
I think that was a reshoot. I'm not entirely sure, but
there's definitely some stills that I saw with Zack Snyder with his mask on behind a camera. And Jared Leto's on the other side. So I think you're right.
I hate Jared Leto's Joker. I'm not going to say anything about Jared Leto as an actor. I'll save that for another movie because there's a lot. But he's not a bad actor. He's really good, I think. I just don't like his characters almost ever. And, it's just his choice of character, who he plays. It just never feels right for me, especially his Joker. I don't like his Joker.
It's very unnerving.
I don't think so. It's very annoying to me.
Well, he is a punk.
And I don't like that. It's so stupid.
That is one thing, though. Like, this is a very different take on that same character. Like, Jared Leto's playing it the same, but the costume is much better. Like, I did like the Kevlar vest covered in police badges. That was hilarious.
I think it represents that there's a really good story there with him. Like, there's something that happened that's funny. I can't stand Punk Leto Joker.
No, that was bad. That was definitely bad. But I think that it was better in the Snyderverse. I do for this just one scene. And I had seen those stills and I heard that Jared Leto's Joker made it into this cut of the movie. And so I was looking for it the whole fucking movie. And then it's there right at the end.
Yeah, I had no idea. I had somehow managed to avoid most of the Snyder Cut spoilers.
Okay.
And I don't know, his laugh is so It's just like
yeah.
It's like, what are you trying to do? The Penguin? Like, the fuck is this? That whole epilogue could be cut. One of the biggest cons to the whole movie, in my opinion, and it's like 30 minutes. So we've wiped out 30 minutes.
I appreciate that, and it could have been cut, especially since that movie's probably not going to happen. If the movie was going to happen, I think that it was interesting. I don't know why Bruce is all of a sudden an oracle, though. I don't know why that's going on.
Right.
Yeah, that part's weird.
Yeah, he's touched by the future somehow.
But
yeah, that's the there we go. That's the epilogue. Let's cut that out and let's talk the rest of the film now, which is
all right.
Golden. I really enjoy the rest of the film.
Okay.
It's super fun.
Since we kind of did the cons first, I do want to get my other con out of the way.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, it's still to talk about the length of the movie, but like that opener, man. Opener,
Superman.
It's
scream.
It's like 10 minutes. It's like 10 minutes of him like doing his death yell at the end of Batman v Supes, and it like just travels into like 5 or 6 different scenes with the different characters, and it was just completely unnecessary. Just start the movie.
Yeah.
And there was
right.
That is one thing, and it does have, you know, Mustache Gate in it, but in Justice League, god damn it, in that first movie, it opens with a clip of Superman like talking to these kids, and that was like the most Superman that I'd seen Henry Cavill be, because like he does care about the people he protects, and he does want to be a symbol for them. So like talking to these kids who said that they are doing it for their school paper, that's totally something Kyle would do. He would be like, yeah, of course. I would love that you guys want to be journalists. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, they definitely did try to like lighten his character more. But I don't know, it's just like one problem with the Joss version is there's no explanation for why the mother boxes start acting up.
Yeah.
They just start acting up. Whereas in the Snyder cut, even though that really long opener where it's just, you know, Cavill yelling and how it reverberates around the world, and
it does set it up.
Everywhere you go, you see the mother boxes get activated.
Yeah, they do. The mother box get activated, and though I will say they did drop it. They did drop it, but only after Steppenwolf gets the second box. I think he does say, I see why you've awoken, Mother. That when the Kryptonian died, this world lost hope. And I'm like, okay, that was really lame.
There you go.
Yeah.
Josh shoehorned it in there. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's lame. But yeah, that opener is very long, and as you said, it's unnecessary. But I guess another con is this, and as we said, it's another runtime inducer, and that is the slow-mo. The love of slow-mo that Joss Whedon has. It is
Zack
Snyder. Zack Snyder has, he always uses this slow-mo, and it's only ever worked for me. I guess it works in 300, but I'm not a huge fan of that movie. Right. But it works really well in The Watchmen.
Yeah, it did.
It's so noir that the slow-mo works so beautifully with it.
It does.
And I don't know, it's just there's something whenever he uses it in these films, it's like it's not needed, man. Drop it. Just drop it.
There's especially when it pertains to Barry and Superman. Everything else can be in slow motion. Barry and Superman should be able to move at regular speed when they're going super fast.
Oh yeah, and everything else looks like it's in slow mo. I can agree with that.
Yeah.
Actually, I would say everything else that's slow mo should be cut. Like there's a Victor Stone scene where he is he's playing football. It's like his setup for his character.
Yeah.
And that whole scene is in slow mo, and it's him just like running. And it's just like, he's just like reaching for the goal. Here we go. He's about to get a touchdown. No, he did it. Yeah. And it's just like, it's so unnecessary. But I do agree. When Barry and Superman are in super speed mode,
right, or when Diana's dodging bullets, like there are points where it makes a lot of sense, and like, you know, every once in a while it would be fine, but it is like he uses it at least once every 5 minutes, I swear. Like you can make a drinking game out of it, but you know, that's his style.
I'm sure it's out
that's
there.
His style, and you know, it's not that I don't appreciate slow motion, it's just at a certain point you got a 4-hour movie, and it just didn't happen that long.
But again, this is the shit that I eat up. I am a blockbuster bitch. I love this kind of action schlock, and for the most part, this movie nails that. It's very entertaining.
Yeah, it's not schlocky. Like, I mean, it's definitely high action bullshit, but it's so good that I can't call it shit, because it's
a level below schlock. It's a level above schlock.
Okay, that's better. I'm like, okay, sure.
It's not shit, but it's definitely not a good movie, but it's a comic book movie. It's like, it's at its heart, it just felt like a DC Comics ridiculous story.
Sure.
You know, they're explaining the plot, and man, I guess this is another con, but whenever they explain the plot, whenever it's just like an exposition voiceover, it felt like the actors were just like holding the script up in front of their face, and it's like, okay, Bruce, and so the Amazons back in such and such day, they fought a war with this thing, and it's just like there's no emotion behind voiceovers, and it's really deadpan.
It is, but especially if you're in a room alone, narrating is kind of hard. I'll give that to them. Especially in those first couple episodes of Adventures of Malagor, and I did struggle. Like I went back and listened to stuff, and I was like, it's like I was putting no intention behind this fucking shit.
Yeah, I feel that too. When you don't have somebody there to direct, and I would hope somebody was there directing their narration, but maybe it was kind of a reshoot thing where Zach's like, hey, I need you to do some dialogue. Can you please just like record this real fast, like, and send it to me? And they're just like, okay, Zach, I can do that.
Right. And Diana does do most of this narration that you're speaking of, because she has the historical experience. And Gal Gadot, her English is not her first language. She speaks English very well, but that could be another issue too. Is like she had to go a really long time speaking a language that's probably not the first thing in her brain when it comes to language. Yeah. So I'll give it to her.
Yeah, that's fair. And I mean, the problem for me though was, especially from Gal Gadot's scenes, because I think there's a moment with Silas Stone reading that also felt very melodramatic.
Oh yeah, that was weird. Yeah.
Yeah, but with her scenes, she's talking to Bruce Wayne, one of the greatest minds in our universe, in the DC comics, that is. I say in our universe, one of the greatest minds in the DC comics universe. But he's real. Batman's real. Call up George, Val, Ben, Michael, call them all up. Oh, gotta get Chris too. Oh, guys, did you guys know you're one of the best minds? Don't forget Robert Pattinson.
Oh, sorry. Yes, Rob Pat. He will be. Yeah, he has been doing Batman for a movie for us.
I think they just wrapped. But she's speaking to Batman, and it feels like she's reading a bedtime story to a child.
Yeah, it does. It does. You're right.
And so it just felt really weird, and it's just like, I don't know, just those scenes, if we're gonna have them, they need to be amped up, and I don't like those kind of scenes really anyway.
So I do. I really do like. I know there's definitely other ways to do it, but I love like a look back at when you do like a long time ago thing to give it that story feel. It's a story about the gods getting together with the humans and other races of the world and fighting back the biggest villain they've ever seen, which is Darkseid.
And I mean, and I agree with that. My thought is, you somehow set that scene up, you get the exposition across, and then before the next Justice League movie, you make an old gods versus new gods movie. Like, that would be cool. Awesome.
That would be good.
But I mean, also that would have to, pass a lot of pretentious douchebag producers who are going to halt that because they don't see any kind of, monetary gain in that.
Never get that story out there. Well, I guess.
I hope I see more. I want to see it on the big screen.
Yeah, me too. The Granny Goodness shot, man. I was like, put her in it. I love that.
I was super excited on that one.
Yeah.
Dude, that scene, we'll get there. So yeah, Batman goes around to start to actually look at the movie. Batman goes around and he gathers the Justice League, sans Superman, because he did.
He did.
And Lois Lane just gonna be grieving him for a whole 4-hour movie.
Yeah, it is sad, but she's definitely used less effectively in Justice League. Like for that Superman scene, Alfred literally drops her off in a car. Like, it makes no fucking sense. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's the stupidest ridiculous shit. I was really honestly pissed off about it. I was like, what the hell? Because she was already there. She was already there to grieve Superman because it's at the scene where the big fight was.
And I actually really enjoyed that too in the Snyder version because she goes to the site to grieve
every day.
Yeah, and she always brings coffee for the cops who are there, and it's just a nice moment where it's like, man, she's just as nice as Soups. Like,
right?
She's always thinking about everybody.
Right. I guess there's a Superman and Clark and Lois TV show now.
Yeah, it's the CW's.
The CW, yeah. That's interesting. I might. Yeah,
they're using the same. They're using the same guy who played him in Supergirl, I believe. So
which that's cool because I thought he was a good choice. He's definitely a lighthearted Superman.
Right. I really do like that. And I mean, that's what he needs to be. Like, that's my only problem with Henry Cavill is I think Cavill is an amazing actor and a great casting choice. They just need to lighten him up. He just needs to smile more. Like, come on.
Give him... Okay, they did that in the Justice League at the very end with him and Cyborg as a reshoot. Like, somebody wrote it where they're just rolling on the ground laughing. And, and Cyborg's like, my foot hurts. I don't even know the physics or logic of that, but my foot hurts. And they're just laughing about it. I'm like, this is the stupidest shit I have ever seen. And that's kind of how they end the movie. That's like the end of the movie.
And another funny scene or another funny shot that I was happy was not in the Snyder cut was Batman's like super gleeful reaction when Superman shows up. Because it's like in the Joss version, like Superman shows up and then Batman like jumps up and down like a giddy little boy. He's just like, "Yay, Superman's here!" And then it's just like I was watching the whole Snyder cut, like, "Please don't happen, please don't happen, please don't happen," and it didn't happen. I was like, "Thank God." It's so stupid. Yeah. But another character who's not even used, just like Lois Lane, is Ryan Choi. He's an Easter egg that's kind of just mentioned. He's the I can't remember who he's working with, but he's one of the scientists. And he's the Atom. Yeah, he's the Atom in the comic books. Like, he's a huge character.
Really? Like,
he's a huge character. He's like the Ant-Man. He can shrink down into a tiny bite.
So was this before or after Roy, whatever his name is? Or is it Ray?
Roy Palmer.
I think it's Ray Palmer.
But I don't know, honestly. And I also might have the wrong character. He could, I guess, be the Blue Beetle. But I think he's the Atom. And I think he's after Ray Palmer.
Okay.
I'm going to get crucified.
If I'm not mistaken, I think the current, and I could be wrong on this, Blue Beetle was named Hamey. And he was...
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, there's so many versions of everybody.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, the Blue Beetle Hamey wasn't the first Blue Beetle. Yeah. He's like the fifth.
Yeah. Oh, he's like the fifth. Okay, because I knew like there was like a scientist guy before him, but Hamey's just a kid, really.
I haven't actually read. I've read one of his stories, I think. But
there's the Young Justice storyline for Blue Beetle's pretty good.
But yeah, that's let's finally actually go into it because Batman's trying to gather all the people. He's struggling. Aquaman doesn't seem interested in it. Wonder Woman's like she's interested, but meh. She's got her own life. She's got stuff to do.
She's like, I'm doing this on my own just fine. I think is kind of the expression in the Snyderverse, and that in Justice League they do seem to already have made the decision to do this together. Yeah, which I don't know which one I like better.
I like the Snyder cut like all around better because it just
I do too.
Because they mention so many times in the Joss cut, it's just like. Why were you, Diana? Why were you like turned away from society? Why weren't you helping people? And it's just like
she was the whole time.
She's clearly trying to help. She's helping you build this team right now. Like, what are you talking about?
Everybody remembers Wonder Woman saving the world in 1984. Okay, everybody remembers that shit.
And she reached out and touched us all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Snyderverse at least got rid of that. The Snyder cut, not the verse. The cut got rid of that. And you get more character moments with everybody, and it's so nice.
Yes, even Bruce, who was the most focused on in the first cut. I shouldn't say the first cut because this was the Snyder cut. Technically, was the first cut, in the Joss whatever. Fuck him. Sorry.
I can't say his name. He sucks. But yeah, and. You get a little peek in the Cyborg's backstory more. Aquaman, you have Willem Dafoe actually show up, and there's more with that, and that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And then, but my favorite extension of the characters was the Flash. Well, I mean, actually, I loved everything they did with Cyborg. I thought that was
obviously,
brilliant.
Cyborg, there was like 200% more Cyborg in this movie.
Yeah, everything they did with him was brilliant. But with the Flash, the one thing I really enjoyed was when you first get to see him. He's at this like, I think it was a pet store or something like that. He's applying for a job, and he sees Iris West, or I assume it's Iris West, and you know, their eyes lock for a moment, and they're just like, oh, you know, it's like, hello there, lightning rod, and I mean, that's what to be a nerd, Barry Allen runs so fast that he can go through time and space. And there's this beautiful little tidbit between him and Iris West that is, no matter what, Barry Allen will never get lost because he has a lightning rod to his time and place, and that's Iris West, you know, the love of his life. And, you know, they just lock eyes for a little bit, and she gets in her car, and she's driving and not looking at the road, and basically gets, she gets into a car accident. I can't remember what she hits, but she hits something.
And she apparently wasn't wearing her seatbelt because she gets launched.
Oh yeah, she just flies. And Barry enters into this the Speed Force, and you get like everything slows down. There's, you know, I like Snyder's version of the Speed Force where it's like blue lightning everywhere, and he's not moving super fast. He's just walking pretty slow, kind of like Quicksilver and the Fox version.
He's moving so fast that he doesn't feel like he's moving faster than everyone else. He feels like he stopped everyone else.
Yeah, and it's so fun. And he goes outside, and you know, he has, and you know, we joked earlier about this article we read where this guy was like, it's really creepy and Barry's very toxic in this scene because he's looking into Iris's eyes for too long, and it's like, no, the scene just goes on too long. He's not being toxic. It's just,
though, you know, I wish, because that scene was in it, that there was one or two other Iris scenes. They could have done that. Like, actually make her a character in it. But besides that, no, I don't think there was anything wrong with this scene. I think the big thing that guy was like, oh, there's hot dogs in this, and they look like erect wieners, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
That's what I felt like he got from this. But really, like, he takes the hot dogs and he feeds them to the dogs at the job he's trying to get.
Yeah, we should say that the hot dogs are, like, she hits like a food truck or something, so there's just like hot dogs that are in the
garbage
debris.
Truck actually hits the food truck. And
there you go.
And then she hits the garbage truck.
Yeah, and there's debris everywhere, and you know, that's part of the debris are these hot dogs in the air. And for me, when I saw that, it was so hilarious because, you know, he comes up to her, and my first thought is, man, I hope he eats that hot dog.
Right, I really thought, like, okay, like, you know, there's a running joke with the speedsters that they have a super huge metabolism because
they just burn energy.
So they're constantly eating, and that's hilarious, especially Wally. I think it's more of a Wally joke, isn't it?
Yeah. He can't maintain the Speed Force. He has to eat, or he won't be able to use his super speed.
Okay.
It's like Barry doesn't have that. Barry still does like to eat a lot, obviously, but he can always access it no matter how tired or weak he is. But Wally is like limited. Well, he was limited. Now he's like God form.
Yeah, I like the joke they went with, but they could have taken it farther by having him like speed eat 3 of them, because that's just like, because he even makes the joke later that he's like a black hole for snacks. He's a snack hole.
Yeah,
and he makes that joke in both movies, which I appreciate.
It is a Barry line, honestly.
Yeah, definitely.
But like, it's funny though, because he grabs one of the hot dogs, or wieners, if you will, and he puts it in his pocket. And then he saves Iris, and he runs back to the job before he breaks from the Speed Force. He runs back to the pet store, and when everything catches up, you know, he broke the glass to get out, I guess, to, you know, to damage property just because he can. And
well, like, I think the store owner was convinced that it happened because this huge accident just happened. Like, you know, something could have flown from that car and smashed into the window.
Yeah, something.
See it. Yeah.
And it's so funny though, because she's like, "What the fuck happened? You know, this guy I was interviewing was right in front of me, and now he's in this dog pen feeding hot dogs to the dogs."
He's like,
in there.
Yeah, he says, in case of times of anxiety, I always keep a meat treat in my pocket. These poor little girls, you're okay now, aren't you? Or something like that. It's really so kind of cute and like, you know, quick thinking on his part. And maybe he did get the job, and he definitely was not going to get the job before it happened.
And I love it. It is such a good golden Barry Allen moment that fits Ezra Miller's character, and I just love it. It's so wonderful.
Right.
It made me like Ezra Miller more, because leaving the Joss Whedon version, I did not like Ezra Miller as the Flash. I thought it was okay, but the outfit was stupid, the character's not right, and the Zack Snyder version feels right.
They did some really raunchy jokes with him too in the Joss movie. Anyhow, like there's especially this one part where he runs and like to save Diana from something that she didn't see coming or something, and then he lands on top of her and with his face in her chest, and like super quick stands up.
Oh God, yeah.
And it's like, I mean, I don't know, like it didn't make Barry seem like a creep. It just made him look clumsy. But they were constantly doing stuff like that with Wonder Woman in the movie. Yeah. Like there's this part where Aquaman is sitting on the lasso of truth, and like,
oh yeah,
I don't remember exactly his words, but he calls her like a smoking hot mommy or something like that. And it's like, like you said, like earlier, you said there is like this inappropriate office humor kind of going on.
And it's just bad. And
yeah,
another thing I just remember when you were saying that about the Flash that I enjoyed was you get that taste of his speed, that he's so fast he can turn back time, because he does that twice in his film, and the first time sets up that finale so well.
Yeah,
because you know there's that scene where they're trying to resurrect Superman because they faced Steppenwolf and they got a beat down. You know, Steppenwolf and the Parademons. You know, it was a very tough fight. The superheroes lost. Steppenwolf got a mother box, I think, something like that. I mean, they beat him off. They were able to push him back, but he succeeded in what he wanted to get, and he was closer to, you know, pleasing Darkseid, which we'll talk about that soon. Because they got that beat down, they're like, okay, we can't do this without Superman. Batman is like convinced that they need to bring Superman back to life.
Right.
And to do that, you know, they had to do this weird process where they have to, you know,
they're on the Kryptonian ship,
and it's like we got to touch the mother box or whatever right at the right moment when it hits the water where Superman's in to revive
needs an electrical charge.
Yeah, and in the Joss version, it's just this like ridiculous, like Barry runs in, he's just like boop, and it's just like yay, you know, it's whatever. Yeah. In the Zack Snyder version, you know, it's the exact same. It's slow-mo, and it's just like, oh, it's so boring kind of when it's, you know, it's happening. It's just this weird ritual. But the box hits the water, and it goes in a little bit, and you're like, oh, he just fucked up. He wasn't, you know, he had to hit it right at the point of contact. That's what they said. And then, you know, Barry, like, enters that room, and everything starts to go back in reverse, and it's just like, oh, shit. You know, it's like Barry's got time travel. You know, it's really nice setup.
And they do a really good job of even setting that part up, too, because he mentions it when they're trying to work this plan. That he can, when he does go that fast, things happen with time. So he was like, I don't like to do it because I don't want to fuck with time. Which I think is really setting up his movie, probably.
Definitely, yeah, it is. But it's so exciting because they do that so well, where like you get to the finale when the big final scene is happening, and every character except Batman in a way has a thing that they do that is integral to and I guess Aquaman doesn't either, but it's integral to defeating the final boss.
Right.
And, you know, it's like Superman, they bring Superman back. He beats all the Justice League up pretty much because he doesn't know what's going on. Lois Lane steps up and saves Batman's life because Batman was about to get incinerated.
Right.
And, you know, Superman and Lois fly away. And Justice League is like, oh fuck, well, we're screwed. Let's go fight Steppenwolf.
Right.
Without Superman, we have a like a tiny plan. We're gonna hope that Superman comes, but whatever.
That part was pretty much how it plays up in Justice League too. No, there wasn't a sequel as well. Anyways, when they actually get to the fight, that's where everything's just completely different. It's so completely different.
It's so weird. I mean, I don't remember the Joss version, but in the Snyder cut, again, every character has something they do. It's like Cyborg's trying to power up into the mother boxes to like, he's got this huge thing that he's got to do. Aquaman is he's really just like the muscle. He's just going around having a good time.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with Batman. He doesn't really have anything he's doing. Once he breaks into it for them, once he opens it up so that they can, all the Justice League can get in there, he's just kind of going around just shooting people and taking out guns.
He's taking out like their weapons, and he's not gonna get in the fray with Steppenwolf because he knows he'll die. Though he does in both movies try to sacrifice himself, which is a very Batman thing to do, where he gets in there and they're supposed to stick to the plan. Something goes wrong, and he figured it kind of would. That's the expression at least I get from Ben Affleck in both movies. He knew that it would go wrong. And he's just going to go out in a blaze of glory. And then all the heroes come in and start backing him up. That happens in both movies, and I did appreciate it. Like, that's the moment where they become a team.
And it's nice. And it's just beautiful. But again, like, him and Aquaman, they don't really do much but punch things.
Sure.
And I guess it's the same with Wonderwoman, but her big thing, her integral contribution to the fight is she's the one fighting Steppenwolf. It's her versus him.
Yeah,
and because
she's a demigod, so she's the only one capable of it.
Yeah, and it is so good. Like it's really such a good fight between them. Much better than the Joss cut that I remembered.
Oh yeah.
And Barry's thing is he's got to activate the mother boxes or something. He's got to go in there. He's got to do shit. For Victor to actually get inside the box, he needs Barry's energy so he can meld with it. So it's pretty much the same thing as the Superman revival scene. Yeah, Barry's got to give him that push in there. But before Barry's able to work up to the speed he needs to give Victor that push, he gets shot. I
know, it's awesome. I know it's not awesome that Flash gets shot, but I mean, hit this scene.
It's a great
so
scene.
Good.
Yeah. It's a very entertaining scene where it's just like, oh shit, that's the crux of their plan. It's just failed. And what happens is, like, the portal opens to Darkseid's world, and you see Darkseid, you see all of his his generals around him, his war leaders, and like it's just like, oh shit, here comes Darkseid. The heroes are like, well, we just fucked up. The mother boxes have to like activate, and when they activate, they like destroy the world. Kind of, they make it barren, I guess, and that happens, and again, Barry's been hurt. He's bleeding, and he has super healing, but at the same time,
right?
He's he's very tired. He's been using a lot of his energy, and the world explodes, and like as it's erupting and coming to Barry, he enters that super speed and pushes everything back in time, and it's so fucking awesome. But what I thought was really awesome was when he did that. He saved the day. And then Cyborg is able to save the day. And then after Cyborg saves the day, there's Superman. Superman comes in. He beats Steppenwolf to smithereens, and it's fucking awesome.
It is awesome.
And then he punches Steppenwolf, and Steppenwolf is flying back into the portal, and then Wonder Woman just leaps up and chops his fucking head off.
Yeah. And that so I did enjoy that in slow motion. That was good use of slow motion because they chop it down, and so on the other side of the portal, you got, I don't remember what his one lackey's name is, but like the vizier kind of got Desaad. Is that right?
Yeah.
There's Darkseid, and then Granny Goodness and all her glory, or whatever it is. Oh man, whoever they got to do it, good look. I love it.
Yeah, she looked great.
She did look good. Anyways, they don't really say anything especially during this part. They're just kind of watching because Steppenwolf's been disgraced, and we'll talk. I'm sure I kind of do want to talk about that a little bit more because he also was, as a main villain, underutilized in Justice League.
Yeah.
Anyhow, they're all looking, just watching with disapproval. Very New Gods aura coming from it. Mm-hmm. And the head gets chopped off. It rolls in and the portal closes because Victor did whatever he needed to do with the mother box. Yeah. And they're just standing there. And Desaad is like, Steppenwolf has failed. I told you so. And I really thought he was going to get smacked. But that didn't happen. But like Darkseid was not surprised that he had failed.
And it's like it's so funny too, because like the head rolls through the portal and Darkseid just like puts his foot on it and stops it and then crushes one of the horns off of it. It's just like, oh shit.
It's good shit. It's good shit.
He just crushed his uncle's head.
That's his uncle? Okay. I guess I didn't really know Steppenwolf, really.
Yeah, Steppenwolf, and I mean, let's just talk his backstory, because as you said, it's one of the huge differences. Why don't you explain what his backstory was for the Justice League?
Okay, yeah, that's a good setup. So, in Justice League, he arrives on Earth via Boom Tomb. So I think, honestly, to talk about this, I need to talk about the difference in the Amazon scenes, because it is important to the difference. So they both have that scene where he shows up there and they try to fight, but they can't, and so they get the mother box out of there, and then the hammers are swung and hit the pillars, and that seals it up. In Snyder Cut, that seals it up, and then it falls into the ocean. Good idea. That's the best you could do. I don't know why any ancient technological person would think they could do better than that. However, in Justice League, it does not fall into the sea, and he just uses his axe to cut through, like laser cut, like as if the axe is a lightsaber, to get out of the side of these stones, and then he goes after them. So not as an effective as a dungeon, which kind of undersells the ingenuity of the Amazons. Hated that. When in the Justice League, he just beams in with the boom tube. That is the first point that the mother box wakes up. In the Snyder Cut, it wakes up. All three of them wake up, and everybody's concerned about it, especially the Amazons. And then it starts shaking worse, and that's when Steppenwolf shows up. But it just cracks. Like the Queen, Hippolyta, I believe is the name.
Yeah.
She comes in and she says, "Is everything the same in Justice League?" And they're like, "Yes, the box still sleeps." And then it just randomly wakes up. Where Hippolyta comes in the Snyder Cut, because it has woken up after thousands of years. Mm-hmm. And so the setup is just so much better, just in general, to get Steppenwolf there. And I think it was a great disservice to the Amazon cast, because they didn't focus on a single one of those Amazons in the Justice League, just Hippolyta. And like they all had this big, long, heroic death scene. And I thought it was well worth the time spent, because those warrior women are awesome. And they were being, they were being actual strong women characters. It was the best use of women characters in both movies, honestly. So that was a huge disservice. I did want to say that was a bad cut on Joss Whedon's part. So, in Justice League, though, Steppenwolf, he is disgraced, but he's been going around the universe for thousands of years and conquering worlds by himself.
But conquering them for Darkseid.
Yes, for Darkseid. But that's not really mentioned until later. It's kind of just like a footnote line that he gives. Real quick, I'm going to just look at the casting. Who plays Steppenwolf? I knew it earlier. It's Kyron Hines. I believe that's how you say his name. And he does a great job, I think, in both movies, really. But you're so disappointed with how he's used in Justice League that it doesn't shine through, unfortunately. But he's really good in Snyder Cut. Yeah. Really good. And there are some subtle differences, probably because of shoots and stuff. But Steppenwolf, he's there to take over the world. Yes, he's trying to prove He's just trying to prove to Darkseid that he's worth coming back to his place among the gods. That's it. That's really just it. And he's trying to gather the mother box to do so. It made it seem like there's mother boxes on all the worlds, kind of.
He's not very emotional in this the Justice League. You know, he's just very one note, bland CGI villain that, like, you know, he has a hammer. That's kind of cool. He's got horns. That's kind of funny.
Good example of what you're talking about is in Justice League when he's interrogating those scientists that he abducted. The janitor guy says, actually, I think they gave this line to Cyrus. He says, these people all have families. And he says, why do people keep on telling me that?
Yeah.
In the Zack Snyder verse, I think it's a different character once again who says, I have a family. And he says, then that is a weakness.
Yeah.
It just rang out so much stronger, really, of how he is cultured, how his people think.
Yeah. It's definitely just more menacing, and then giving him that extra backstory with Darkseid that we see, that, you know, as you mentioned, that disgrace where you get to see that he's disgraced. He reaches out to Desaad, and there's a moment where Steppenwolf discovers the anti-life equation is on Earth, and it's something that, you know, it's a MacGuffin that Darkseid has been looking for you know, eons. Steppenwolf discovers it, and he's like, oh, this will bring me out of the disgrace that I'm in. This will bring me back into my nephew's good graces. And he reaches out to Desaad, and Desaad's like, no, you have to get like 1,000 worlds.
100,000 worlds, I think it was.
100,000, yeah. Jesus. Yeah, it's like, you gotta get so many worlds for Darkseid, and then Earth is but one, even if it does have this MacGuffin that Darkseid's after. You just get this nice little, it's not a heart, but you get emotion.
He's an actual character.
Yeah.
And he's not like doing this just because he likes going around taking over worlds, which is kind of the feeling that you get in the first movie. But in this one, he's doing it with the reason of, I just want to go back home. It's been eons since I've been home. Yeah. And I was just trying to look up who played Darkseid. So I'm not finding who played Granny Goodness, but Desaad was done by Peter Guinness, which he did have a very recognizable voice. Just, you know, the character's entirely CGI, so I did not recognize. And Darkseid is voiced by Ray Porter. And they did a great job. Like, they feel like the characters. So I guess they did not use their body for the CGI mapping. At least it just credits them for voice. Oh, I did want to mention one other difference between Steppenwolf in the movie, and that is his armor. So, just like the character design in general, in the Snyder cut, he's much more animalistic looking. And he even has like 2 thumbs and 4 fingers, or maybe even 5 fingers, and some of the fingers are longer than others. And it changes the way he grips the axe, and it's some really cool stuff. And like, his armor is like this mirror plated, like, shifting alive thing, which kind of feels like what they describe sometimes in the comics of nth metal. Anyways, anyhow, when Darkseid shows up through that same device that we were talking about, he does take the armor down and kneel to his nephew, and like, you get to see all his flesh and stuff and know that the armor is just armor. And then it, you know, it slowly shifts back up, and that's pretty cool. I think it's a good choice, and it works for the movie, and it makes him feel more alien. But they definitely did the more Greco-Roman / I don't know, maybe even Viking thrown in there look for his armor, like a more based in Earth lore. He had like the leather skirt thing, but it was all one tone kind of. It wasn't animated extremely well, but I liked the design, I think, a little bit better. Just because, I don't know, in the comics anyways, they all kind of have that feel. You know, they're gods. They've been around for forever. And so it kind of works when they look like the legend that we're familiar with gods.
Like they inspired us.
I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was that one particular choice was better. But overall, I think the performance of Steppenwolf was better in that second movie, and the animalistic choices were pretty cool. But I do like that armor, and they did go pretty traditional with Darkseid and Granny Goodness. So, if they're gonna go pretty traditional with them, why not go traditional with Darkseid? I don't know. Well, excuse me, Steppenwolf. But I still liked the new choice. So, kudos to those animators. It looked pretty cool.
And I'm sure I'm like overlooking something that in my notes that I wanted to talk about, but I have to go to the bathroom. So I say let's tear down the wall and give our closing statements.
Good enough reason. So
yeah, we're back.
We're back again.
It's time to talk our closing statements on the film.
So who wants to go first?
I can go ahead. I will give the Snyder Cut 3 stars out of 4.
That's very fair.
I'm not gonna grade the Justice version until I'm able to rewatch it and when we review that. But I will say that the Snyder Cut is so much better. Right. When Henry Cavill, I think there was a moment where Henry Cavill was like streaming a video game and he was just like, release the Snyder Cut, and that's when it started to gain wide attention and everything. I was like, I don't know if that's necessary. It's just like we had a film. It's like let's call it good. I didn't realize that the whole thing was already filmed.
Yeah, it's a completely different movie. Like it's basically the same story, but it's told completely differently.
And I 100% appreciated Snyder's vision so much more. There's a lot more focus on Cyborg. Cyborg is built tremendously well. He's a great character. All of the Justice League are given more in this version than they are in the Whedon cut.
For sure. That's so much easier to say than Justice League.
And it's just I didn't hate Joss Whedon's version, but I didn't like it either. I really like Zack Snyder's. I'm not a huge fan of the Man of Steel film. Batman v Superman had some fun scenes, but I wasn't thrilled. I was thrilled by Snyder
it was
cut.
Awesome.
It was entertaining. Yeah, it felt like a great comic book movie. It felt like a good, it's like, all right, we're gonna try to fix this universe, and it's like, okay, I'm on board. I think we had a good start here. If we replace Whedon's cut with the Snyder cut, I think the universe is mending itself.
Yeah, I understand that you have problems with that Man of Steel movie, but I do think that it was honestly like there's definitely a lot of symbolism things that I didn't feel like were necessary, and we'll definitely talk about that sometime in our life, I'm sure. I think Snyder Cut was necessary because now we know how much of a performance that all of these characters gave and were just shat on.
Yeah.
But particularly Ray Fisher actually gets a fucking performance in this movie. You still got more of everybody else.
And it's great.
In Justice League. Like, there definitely were some cut scenes for Jason Momoa, but they also felt like they weren't super necessary, like some of the scenes in Atlantis. They really aren't even... I think it was really maybe a minute or two more footage anyways. But for Ezra Miller and Gal Gadot, there's definitely better stories and performances in the Snyder Cut. But my God, they really took out Ray Fisher out of that movie. And then they added some campy stuff to try to make him a fun, likable character. Which I will say one thing is that it reminded me more of the Cyborg from the Teen Titans, which is my main exposure to Cyborg, than in the Snyder Cut. But the story's just so much better, and I can see Ray Fisher, who at the time was still dealing with a very tragic event in his life, being his Victor Stone character, makes just so much sense that he was kind of broody throughout the film. And I could see, though, that Ray Fisher becoming a more light, jovial, joking person later in this movie series that could have happened.
Yeah, he felt very almost mechanical because, he's still learning to be what he is, to be this cyborg of human and robot. And I agree with you. I think as he goes along, I think more of his humanity will come back to him.
Exactly.
But in the Snyder Cut, it definitely felt right where he should be. You know, he's still in the origin of his story. He's still learning to be this
He's
superhero.
angry with his father for doing it because he was honestly angry with his father before, which, you know, like, we've already gotten a couple different parents and the superheroes and their parents' stories in this universe. Like, Barry has a good relationship with his dad, but his dad's in prison. That's a pretty complex story. That's awesome. But however, Gal Gadot, her mother and her, they still have a great respect for each other, but because of the way their society works, they can't see each other. Also sad and complicated, but in a different way that is not really relatable to us as the audience. And Henry Cavill, I mean, Clark Kent and the Kents, they're a happy-go-lucky farm family. So we really haven't had, like, a super complicated, I'm not okay with what you did story between the parents and their superheroes. And it's so integral to his origin story that it was great. And I think I forgot that we took the wall down. But
I don't think he gave anything away, though. Hey, I mean, you're just talking character backstory.
Yeah, you get a lot more of Ray Fisher, and I guess closing statement is what I was supposed to be doing. I give this movie a face, maybe even a face and a half. I really do recommend it. I thought it was great. I mean, it's so much better than what happened. I don't think we would have gotten exactly this because of the producers at the time's opinion of the movie and partially why the movie changed so much. I don't think we would have gotten exactly this because they gave him a lot of trust for this stream. So it is kind of a bubble movie, guys, and those are rare. So go and watch the bubble movie. Even though it's 4 hours long, it doesn't have to be.
And I'm happy it got this because, you know, I'm all for creators being able to see their vision come to fruition. I'm all on the creators' side because I want them to be able to tell the tale they want to. And we finally got to see that. And, you know, Zack Snyder has finally got to deliver. It's got to be so personal for him. Such a cathartic moment to be able to finish this work, given everything that's happened throughout the process of making it. And, I highly recommend it. You know, as I said, 3 stars. Go see it.
Fuck yeah.
Wonderful. Except you can stop when the word epilogue appears on the screen.
That's his opinion. I honestly enjoyed it, but yes, I still at the same point agree with him because, and I'm sorry I'm addressing the audience and not you, Greg, but I enjoyed watching it, but it is trying to set up a movie that's probably never going to happen.
I mean, movies that are never going to happen. You know, the Batman or the Ben Affleck Batman is just, it's gone. It's trashed. It's not going to happen again. And that's all right, I think. I mean, I like the idea of it, but I also am not a huge Ben Affleck Batman fan. He does.
I think he does a really good Bruce.
He's not the greatest casting
I like
choice.
his Bruce.
Yeah, but that chin, when you put it in the cowl, like, who the fuck is fooled by Batman? It makes no sense.
Is that
Bruce
you,
Wayne's
Bruce?
face is everywhere, and it's like, well, look at that chin. That's Ben Affleck's chin right there. You know, it's like you put it in anything, and I'm gonna recognize that it's Ben Affleck's fucking chin. Like, it makes no sense. Man. And then his Bruce Wayne or his Batman voice is just like a voice modulator, and I'm just like, come on, just actually do something to your voice. Like, I mean, people shit all over Christian Bale, and it's like the one thing he did right was the voice, and it's like I'm tired of people being like, his voice is unrecognizable. It's so stupid. It's like, it's Batman. He has a gravelly voice when he's Batman.
Yeah.
Like,
though I do like the very subtle difference that I'm gonna say his name right. The animated Batman gives when he becomes Bruce. It's very subtle, but the demeanor of Batman to the demeanor of Bruce is so drastically different, and that's partially because of the animation too.
There's hands down, there's no better Batman out there than Kevin Conroy.
That's right.
Like, he is the best. I mean, I say better Batman. I mean better overall character of Batman and Bruce Wayne. Kevin Conroy kills it. But when it comes to best Batman that we've seen live action, I personally think Christian Bale is the best Batman, and I would say that Michael Keaton is the best, second best, as well as the best Bruce Wayne. I really love.
He ties with Ben, you think, or with Clooney?
No, I don't think Ben's a good. Yeah, I really just don't like. I think the one thing I really enjoyed of Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne is in Batman v Superman. There's that moment where he sees the fight between Superman and General Zod, and he runs into the falling buildings to like save this girl's life. That was a really great Bruce Wayne moment. I was like, "Yep, that's Batman right there." And I guess he makes a decent Bruce Wayne. It's just you don't see enough of Bruce Wayne not around superheroes in this film. That is, you do in Batman v Supes, but
I don't know. He grew on me in the Snyder cut for sure. I would be happy to see him do the role again. I would, but it sounds like we're gonna get Michael Keaton.
Yeah,
that's crazy. But anyhow, I think we talked about the movie, man. I think we did it.
Go out. It's on HBO Max. It's there. Go check it out. It's segmented into parts, so don't let the 4 hours daunt you. You can stop after 1 hour a day.
That's right. Yeah, they got title cards. It's great. Yeah, it really works that way. Like otherwise, I don't think I would have appreciated that it was a 4 hour movie. In fact, they even put these little diamonds on time signature as it goes by. Yeah, if you toggle your switch or whatever, it will show you these little diamonds where the title cards for the different parts are, and that's nice. It was pretty well thought out on HBO Max's part.
Hell yeah. But yeah, check it out. I've been the Green Traveler.
And I am the Faceless Leon. Safe travels and good night. Green and Faceless on the Couch is a proud production of Fiction Works 19. If you like the show, please show your support by rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. Like, follow, subscribe, wherever you might listen. We also now have a Patreon account. If you feel so inclined to support us in a financial manner, please become a patron by visiting patreon.com/greenandfaceless. You can also find more information about us on our Facebook account or on the FictionWorks19 Instagram account. Thank you so much for listening.